The tweet that shook the world. It was a quiet evening in Los Angeles when Keanu Reeves sat on his balcony, looking out at the fading sunset. The city lights began to flicker on one by one like stars being born on Earth. He held his phone loosely, scrolling through the chaos of the online world. Between the noise, one story kept reappearing, stories of people losing their life savings in a sudden Bitcoin crash. Photos of tears, families broken, messages of despair. Keanu stared at the screen for a long moment, his heart heavy. He wasn't a financial expert, and he never claimed to be, but he was human. And right now, he saw more than just numbers on a screen. He saw pain. Quietly, he began typing a message, not as a celebrity, but as a man who understood what it meant to lose something. Money can come and go. What matters most is that we don't lose our kindness. If you lost everything, you haven't lost your worth. I'm here to help. DM me if you're struggling. He hesitated before posting. It wasn't a marketing move, not a promotion, just pure empathy. Then he pressed send. The tweet went live at 10:47 p.m. By midnight, the world had changed. Within hours, the tweet spread like wildfire. Millions shared it. Thousands replied, some thanking him, others asking for help. There were skeptics, of course, people who thought it was fake. But then came a small miracle. Screenshots began circulating of Keanu personally replying to individuals, asking for wallet addresses and sending small amounts to help them restart their lives. The internet exploded. The next morning, Keanu's phone wouldn't stop buzzing. Journalists were calling, producers wanted interviews, brands wanted statements. But he didn't want attention. He just wanted peace. He turned off his phone and took his bike for a long ride through the misty roads outside the city. The sound of wind and asphalt calmed him. For a brief moment, he forgot the chaos, until he stopped at a red light and heard a voice. "You're Keanu Reeves, right?" He turned to see a man in his mid-30s holding a helmet, eyes wide with disbelief. "I saw your tweet," the man said, his voice trembling. "I lost everything last month. I didn't think anyone cared. But your words, they stopped me from doing something stupid." Keanu didn't know what to say. The man's eyes glistened with tears, and in that silence, something shifted inside him. This wasn't just about Bitcoin anymore. This was about hope. Later that evening, Keanu sat in his dimly lit living room, scrolling through messages. Thousands of people were sharing stories of loss, resilience, and gratitude. It felt overwhelming, almost sacred, like he had accidentally opened a door into the world's hidden pain. Among the messages, one caught his attention. It was from a woman named Maya. "Dear Keanu, my husband took his own life after losing our savings. I just want to thank you for reminding me that kindness still exists. I wish he had seen your message earlier." He read it 3 times. Each word felt like a knife. He typed back slowly, "I'm deeply sorry for your loss, Maya. If there's anything I can do, please tell me." Her reply came minutes later. "I don't need money. I just need someone to listen." That night, Keanu didn't sleep. He stayed on the call with Maya for hours, just listening to her speak. About her husband, about their dreams, about the silence left behind. When the call ended, he sat in the dark, tears slipping down his face. He realized something. People didn't always need saving. They just needed someone to care. Over the next few days, the story grew beyond anything he imagined. News outlets ran headlines like, "Keanu Reeves becomes voice of compassion in crypto crisis." Influencers debated whether it was real. But behind all the noise, the quiet truth remained. People were healing through kindness. Then came the twist. 3 days after his tweet, Keanu received an email from a man claiming to be a government investigator. The message was stern. "Mr. Reeves, while we appreciate your generosity, your recent financial transfers have triggered an international alert. We need to speak immediately." For the first time, Keanu felt uneasy. He had only sent small amounts, just enough to help. But now it seemed the system saw it differently. He replied, agreeing to meet the next day. As he closed his laptop, he looked again at the tweet that started it all. Over 70 million views, countless lives touched. But somewhere deep inside, he felt that the story was only beginning, and that what came next would test not his fame, but his heart. The next morning, Keanu walked into a quiet federal office downtown. The walls were gray, the air cold. Two officials sat across from him. They began asking questions about where the money came from, why he was sending it, and whether he had ties to a certain organization accused of crypto laundering. He was shocked. He explained everything, how he just wanted to help people, how he never took a cent from anyone. But the officials looked skeptical. One of them said, "Mr. Reeves, you may not realize it, but some of these wallet addresses you sent funds to are linked to an active investigation." The words hit him hard. Was his kindness being used by people who weren't even real? Was someone exploiting his generosity for crime? The room fell silent. Keanu's hands tightened on the table. He had acted out of compassion, but now he was tangled in something far darker. As he left the building, the cameras were already waiting. Flashes went off, microphones thrust forward, voices shouting questions. "Keanu, are you under investigation? Did you send money to criminals?" He didn't answer. He just walked away, his eyes heavy with confusion. That night, alone again, he looked at his reflection in the mirror. He whispered to himself, "Did I do the right thing?" He didn't know the answer, but deep down, he knew this wasn't the end. The truth was buried somewhere, and he was going to find it. The storm after the kindness, the next few days felt like walking through a storm he never saw coming. Keanu Reeves had always believed that doing the right thing would lead to peace. But now his name was being dragged through every corner of the internet. Hashtags like KeenaCrypto and Reeves Under Fire were trending. People who once praised his kindness were now questioning his intentions. The media wasn't gentle. Headlines screamed accusations. Keanu Reeves linked to crypto scandal. Did the actor unknowingly fund criminals? Talk shows debated his character, analysts dissected his tweet, and some even claimed it was a publicity stunt. He tried not to read them, but the noise was impossible to escape. It echoed from his phone, from TV screens, from whispers on the street. Even at a coffee shop, a woman looked at him and said quietly, "You tried to help, but the world doesn't forgive kindness easily." Her words haunted him. He rode his motorcycle through the city at night, trying to find clarity in the hum of the engine. Rain hit his visor, and neon reflections blurred around him. He thought about Maya, the widow he had spoken to days ago. He hadn't heard from her since that night. Maybe she, too, saw the headlines and lost faith in him. But as he turned onto Sunset Boulevard, his phone vibrated. It was an unknown number. He pulled over and answered. "Is this Keanu Reeves?" a man's voice asked. "Yes, who is this?" "Someone who knows the truth. They're using your name, Keanu, and they're not done yet." Before Keanu could reply, the call disconnected. His heart pounded. He stared at the phone screen, trying to make sense of what just happened. Someone was using his name? He drove home fast, water spraying under his tires. When he reached his apartment, he sat down at his computer and began searching. Within minutes, he found several fake Twitter accounts using his name and profile picture. They were messaging people, promising financial help, collecting personal details and Bitcoin addresses, and then disappearing. His kindness had been hijacked. By morning, hundreds of victims had already come forward, claiming Keanu Reeves had scammed them. But it wasn't him. Someone out there was exploiting his compassion to hurt others. He immediately called his manager and explained everything. Soon, his lawyer joined the call, urging him to make a public statement. But Keanu refused to rush. "If I speak too soon," he said, "they'll twist my words again." Instead, he quietly reached out to Maya. When she answered, her voice was weak. "Keanu." "Maya, I need your help," he said softly. "Someone's using my name to hurt people. I think it's bigger than just a few accounts." Maya hesitated. "I saw the news," she whispered. "I didn't believe it. I knew your heart was real. I'll help you however I can." He smiled faintly. For the first time in days, someone still believed in him. Together, they began looking through messages, reports, and digital traces. Maya had been part of several online grief communities, and she noticed that fake Keanu accounts were contacting people in those same groups, preying on their pain. As they pieced together the clues, a name kept appearing: CryptoHope Foundation. It was an organization claiming to restore financial balance by connecting donors and victims. Its website had photos, testimonials, and even a quote attributed to Keanu Reeves. But the foundation was fake. The realization hit him like cold water. Someone had built an entire operation around his act of kindness and used it to manipulate people who trusted him. That night, he met privately with the same government investigator who had questioned him days before. Her name was Agent Lydia Cho. She wasn't unkind, just cautious. "We traced the accounts you sent funds to," she said, sliding a folder across the table. "Some of them were real victims. Others were created by a group based overseas. They've been using celebrity names to lure people in. We believe your tweet gave them a massive opportunity." Keanu felt a wave of guilt rise inside him. "So it's my fault?" he asked quietly. Lydia shook her head. "No, they just took advantage of your goodness. But now we need your help to stop them." He leaned forward. "Tell me what to do." Over the next few days, Keanu worked secretly with the investigators. He provided messages, screenshots, anything that could help. He didn't want publicity, he just wanted justice for the people who had been hurt. But as the investigation deepened, things took a darker turn. Maya called one night, her voice trembling. "Keanu, someone's watching my house." His blood ran cold. "What do you mean?" "A car's been parked across the street for hours. When I looked out, the driver had a phone pointed at me." Keanu immediately got in his car and drove to her neighborhood. When he arrived, he saw the black sedan parked exactly where she said. As he approached, the car sped off, disappearing into the night. He stayed with her that evening. They didn't talk much. She made tea, and he sat by the window, watching the street. There was fear in the air, but also an unspoken connection. Two people caught in a storm, trying to hold on to what was right. The next morning, a new wave of headlines broke. Keanu Reeves under federal protection after cyber threats. The news spread faster than before. Every move he made became public. Journalists followed him, drones hovered above his house, and online theories grew wild. Some said he was part of a secret government project. Others claimed he was exposing something much bigger. He didn't know what to believe anymore. One evening, while reviewing new information with Agent Lydia, something unexpected appeared on his screen. A live feed from a security camera showing his apartment door. Someone was standing there holding a package. Lydia's eyes narrowed. "Don't open it." Keanu stood frozen as the person left the package and walked away. 5 minutes later, police arrived and carefully inspected it. Inside, there was no bomb, no threat, just a single note. "Stop helping them, Keanu. This isn't your fight." No signature. He sat down, exhausted. "Why are they doing this?" he whispered. Lydia looked at him with quiet concern. "Because your compassion became powerful, and power always threatens someone." That night, Keanu lay awake, staring at the ceiling. He thought about the tweet, the people he helped, and the ones who used his name for harm. It was all spiraling beyond control. But beneath the chaos, a strange calm began to grow. He realized something. Even if the world twisted his kindness, he couldn't stop being who he was. He'd rather be misunderstood for caring than admired for doing nothing. He got up, opened his laptop, and began typing again. "You can break trust, fake names, and steal money, but you can't steal empathy. No matter what happens, I'll keep helping, even if it costs me." He hit post. Within minutes, the tweet began spreading again, faster, stronger. Millions began responding, defending him, sharing stories of how his compassion had inspired them to help others. Hashtags shifted. Keep the kindness replaced Reeves under fire. The tide was turning. But as the night deepened, a new message arrived in his inbox. No sender, no traceable origin, just one sentence. "You shouldn't have posted that. We warned you once." Keanu stared at the words, feeling the weight of an unseen war closing in. The line between kindness and danger was vanishing. He turned off the light, unaware that by the next sunrise, the fight for truth would no longer be online. It would be personal. The shadow behind kindness, the sun had barely risen when Keanu Reeves woke up to the sound of his doorbell. It was early, too early. His eyes were heavy from another sleepless night, but the sound was sharp, persistent, almost impatient. He walked slowly to the door, peering through the peephole. Two uniformed officers stood outside, one holding a clipboard. When he opened the door, they nodded respectfully. "Mr. Reeves, we're here on behalf of the Cybercrime Division. We need to ask you a few questions about a recent threat connected to your online activity." He stepped aside and let them in. Their tone was polite, but there was tension in the air, the kind that comes when something dangerous is unfolding. "Was anyone else with you last night?" one officer asked. "No," Keanu replied quietly. "Just me." The officer exchanged a look with his partner, then continued. "We believe the message you received, the one that said, 'We warned you once,' came from an encrypted network used by a global fraud syndicate. They've been targeting philanthropists and celebrities who publicly support financial victims." Keanu frowned. "So they want to silence anyone trying to help?" "Exactly. You embarrassed them when you posted that second tweet. Now they're making it personal." The words hung in the air like smoke. Keanu felt a chill crawl up his spine. It wasn't about money anymore. It was about power, about control. After the officers left, Keanu sat in silence for a long time. He felt the weight of millions of eyes watching him, some filled with hope, others with hate. Fame was no armor here. It was a target. A few hours later, his phone buzzed again. It was Maya. Her voice was shaky. "Keanu, we need to talk. It's about my husband." He felt a strange unease in his chest. "What about him?" "He wasn't just an investor," she said softly. "Before he died, he worked as a blockchain security consultant. He told me someone was manipulating digital wallets through charity accounts. He was trying to expose them, but then he accidentally fell into debt and ended his life." Keanu's breath caught. "You think it wasn't an accident?" Maya hesitated. "I think someone made it look like one." There was a long silence. Then Keanu said quietly, "Where are you now?" "Still at home," she replied. "But I think I'm being followed again." He grabbed his jacket and keys. "Stay inside, I'm coming." The drive to her house felt endless. The sun was already setting, and the roads glowed orange and red under the fading light. When he arrived, Maya was sitting by the window, clutching a photo in her hands. "This was taken a week before he died," she said, showing him the picture of her husband, a smiling man with kind eyes. "He told me that if anything happened, there would be proof hidden in his old laptop." "Do you still have it?" Keanu asked. She nodded. "Yes, but it's locked. I never found the password." He took the laptop carefully, promising to get it decrypted. As they sat there, the wind outside grew stronger, rattling the windows. Suddenly, there was a faint sound, a soft click, followed by the low hum of a car engine. Maya looked up. "They're back." Keanu moved to the window and saw a black SUV parked across the street. The same kind of car he'd chased days before. Its headlights were off, but he could see the faint outline of someone inside, watching. "Pack a small bag," he said calmly. "You're coming with me?" She didn't argue. Within minutes, they were driving down a quiet highway, heading toward a small cabin Keanu owned outside the city. It was secluded, surrounded by pine trees and misty hills, the kind of place where the world felt far away. When they arrived, Maya was trembling. He made her tea, the same way she had done for him before. For a moment, they sat in silence, listening to the fire crackle in the fireplace. "Why are you helping me?" she asked softly. He looked at her with tired eyes. "Because when kindness is under attack, staying silent isn't an option." That night, while Maya slept, Keanu connected the laptop to his computer. The password screen appeared. He tried a few combinations based on her husband's details, but none worked. Then he noticed a faint engraving on the side of the laptop, 3 words etched in small letters. "Truth needs light." He typed those words as the password. The screen unlocked. Files filled the screen, encrypted reports, email logs, and something labeled Project Ghost Chain. His heart raced as he opened it. Inside were hundreds of transactions linking several fake charity wallets to a single digital signature, the same one that had appeared in the fake Keanu accounts. It was proof. The people exploiting his name were part of a large-scale operation, and Maya's husband had discovered it. Before he could expose it, they silenced him. As Keanu scrolled deeper, one file stood out. It was a video recording from her husband's webcam, dated 3 days before his death. He pressed play. The man appeared on screen, eyes tired, voice trembling. "If anyone finds this, it means they got to me. The charity accounts are a cover for laundering stolen funds through crypto donations. I don't know who runs it yet, but I've traced one of their main coordinators, codename Eclipse. If you're watching this, be careful. They're everywhere." The video ended abruptly. Keanu sat frozen. The fire in the fireplace had died down and shadows danced along the walls. He knew what he had now, not just a clue, but a key to the entire conspiracy. He quietly saved copies of the files onto a flash drive and hid it in his jacket. Then he woke Maya. "Maya, listen to me. Your husband was right. There's a group behind this, and we have proof. We can't stay here." Her eyes widened in fear. "What will they do if they find out we know?" "They already do," he said grimly. "They're watching everything." As he spoke, headlights flashed through the window, a car pulling into the driveway. Both of them froze. He grabbed her hand. "We have to go, now." They ran out the back door, the sound of car doors slamming behind them. Voices shouted in the distance. Keanu led her through the woods, the cold air biting at their faces. Branches snapped under their feet, and somewhere behind them, flashlights flickered through the darkness. They didn't stop running until they reached an old dirt road. A truck was passing by, and Keanu waved it down. The driver, an older man, looked confused but let them in. "Rough night," he asked casually. Keanu nodded, catching his breath. You could say that. The truck rumbled down the road, carrying them away from the cabin and from the men now searching it. As the first light of dawn broke, Keanu looked out the window at the fading forest. He turned to Maya and said softly, "This isn't just about crypto anymore, it's about truth." Maya looked at him, eyes tired but resolute. "And truth always costs something," he nodded slowly. "Then we'll pay it, whatever it takes." In the distance, his phone buzzed again, a new message from an unknown number. "We know what you took. Give us the drive or she disappears next." He looked at Maya, then at the road ahead. There was no turning back now. Kindness had started this, but courage would have to finish it. The hunt for Eclipse, the morning air was cold and sharp when Keanu Reeves stepped out of the truck. His breath came out in pale clouds as he looked around at the remote gas station tucked between hills. Maya followed quietly, clutching her small backpack, her eyes darting at every sound. They had been on the road for hours, traveling through back routes and empty towns, trying to stay invisible. The driver waved them off with a kind smile before pulling away. The moment the truck disappeared, silence filled the air, heavy, almost watchful. Keanu turned to Maya. "We'll lay low here for a while," he said softly. "We can't risk using phones or cards. Everything we do could be traced." She nodded, her face pale but determined. "How long do you think we have before they find us?" he sighed. "Not long. They already know about the flash drive. They'll be tracking every lead." Inside the small diner next to the gas station, they took a booth in the corner. The waitress brought coffee, and for a brief moment, it felt like a normal morning. People laughed at nearby tables, the radio played an old love song, and sunlight poured through the dusty windows. But Keanu's mind was elsewhere. Every second felt borrowed. Every glance from a stranger felt loaded with suspicion. As Maya stirred her coffee, she asked quietly, "Who do you think Eclipse is?" He looked at her, his voice low. "Someone powerful, someone who knows how to stay hidden. Your husband was close to finding them, that's why they silenced him." Maya's hands trembled slightly as she said, "Then we have to finish what he started." Keanu nodded. He reached into his jacket, pulling out the flash drive. "These files might have clues about Eclipse's identity, but we can't open them on any normal network. We need help." "From who?" she asked. "Someone I trust." That evening, they took a bus to a quiet neighborhood on the outskirts of San Francisco. There, they met an old friend of Keanu's, Samir, a cybersecurity expert who had once worked in Hollywood's digital forensics division. His small apartment was filled with humming servers, flickering monitors, and half-empty coffee cups. Samir opened the door and froze when he saw them. "Keanu, what are you doing here?" "I need your help," Keanu said simply. "But this has to stay between us." Samir let them in, locking the door behind them. When Keanu explained everything, the fake accounts, the investigation, the threats, Samir's expression turned grim. "You've walked into something serious, my friend," he said, scrolling through the data Keanu handed him. "These aren't small-time hackers. This is a network. They're using artificial charity wallets to move money across continents. And this," he pointed at the name Eclipse in one file, "this code name keeps showing up in the headers. It's encrypted deep into the code. Whoever this is, they're the architect." Maya leaned forward. "Can we trace them?" Samir hesitated. "Maybe, but if I start digging, they'll know. They have systems that alert them when anyone gets too close." Keanu looked at him with quiet resolve. "Then we'll move fast." For the next few hours, the room filled with the soft hum of computers. Lines of code flashed across the screens. Data maps formed, linking wallets to shell companies and those companies to offshore servers. Every few minutes, a new thread appeared and vanished just as quickly. Finally, Samir stopped typing. "I found something." He turned the screen toward them. It showed a series of encrypted email exchanges between Eclipse and an unknown associate. One of the messages contained coordinates, a location in Northern California, deep in the mountains. And attached to it was a phrase, "The seed must grow where kindness blooms." Maya frowned. "What does that mean?" Samir shrugged. "Could be a code or a riddle, but there's something else. Eclipse sent that message only 2 days ago. They're planning another move, maybe another fake charity launch." Keanu stared at the coordinates. "Then that's where we're going." Samir looked alarmed. "Are you out of your mind? You don't know what's waiting there." "Maybe not," Keanu said quietly, "but if I don't face this, more people will get hurt, and I won't let that happen." As he and Maya prepared to leave, Samir handed him a small device. "This will scramble your location for a few hours. Use it if things go bad." Keanu nodded his thanks, and they slipped out into the night. The drive to the mountains was long and silent. Fog drifted over the winding roads, and the forest seemed endless. Somewhere between the trees, Maya spoke softly. "You didn't have to do this, you know. You could have walked away." He smiled faintly. "Walking away doesn't make the world better. Sometimes we have to stay even when it hurts." When they finally reached the coordinates, they found an abandoned greenhouse covered in ivy and broken glass. A faint light glowed from inside. They stepped carefully through the door. The air was thick with dust and the smell of earth. In the center stood a row of computers connected to a single satellite uplink. The screens displayed live transactions, cryptocurrency transfers happening in real time. Maya whispered, "This is it, the source." Keanu moved closer, scanning the screens. One of them suddenly blinked, showing a live chat window. Words began to appear one line at a time. "You shouldn't have come here." Maya's eyes widened. "They know we're here." Another line appeared. "You could have stayed the hero, Keanu, but heroes always fall." Keanu stepped forward, typing on the keyboard. "Who are you?" After a pause, the reply came. "Someone you trusted once?" For a moment, the world stopped. He stared at the screen, his mind racing. Someone he trusted. Before he could respond, the power cut out. The lights died and the room plunged into darkness. Somewhere outside, an engine roared to life. "They found us," Maya whispered. Keanu grabbed her hand. "We need to move." They ran out the back door, the night exploding with the sound of footsteps and flashing lights. Gunshots echoed through the trees, not aimed to kill, but to warn. They sprinted through the forest until they reached the edge of a cliff overlooking a river far below. Behind them, a shadowy figure appeared, holding a flashlight. Keanu turned to face them. "Who are you?" he shouted. The figure didn't answer, they just pointed toward the river. Then they said softly, "The truth is already downstream," and vanished into the darkness. Keanu and Maya stood frozen, hearts pounding. Below them in the faint moonlight, they saw something glinting in the water, a floating hard case caught between the rocks. He looked at her. "That's what they wanted us to find." As they climbed down toward the river, the night grew eerily quiet. When he reached the case, he opened it carefully. Inside was a small drive labeled Project Genesis. Maya whispered, "Do you think it's connected to Ghost Chain?" Keanu nodded slowly. "It's the next phase, and now it's in our hands." But as they turned to leave, headlights appeared on the ridge above, 3 vehicles, closing in fast. Keanu took a deep breath, clutching the case. "They're not letting us go that easily." Maya's voice trembled. "What do we do now?" He looked toward the dark forest ahead. "We disappear." They vanished into the woods as the first vehicles reached the riverbank, their lights cutting through the mist. Men stepped out, scanning the ground, weapons drawn. But Keanu and Maya were already gone, carrying the truth that could either save thousands or destroy them both. Echoes of betrayal, the rain had started again, soft at first, then heavier, turning the forest floor into mud. Keanu Reeves and Maya moved carefully through the darkness, every sound amplified by fear and exhaustion. The headlights behind them had faded, but the echo of engines still haunted the air. They were deep in the mountains now. No roads, no lights, no help. Just the whisper of the wind through the trees and the faint sound of water somewhere below. Keanu carried the metal case tightly under his arm. It felt heavier than before, not just from its weight, but from what it held. Project Genesis. The heart of a mystery that had already taken lives. "We need shelter," Maya said quietly, her breath visible in the cold. "We can't keep running like this." Keanu nodded. He led her toward a small cave near the base of the cliffs, hidden behind thick vines. Inside it was damp and cold, but at least they were safe. For now. He set the case down and sat on a rock, his mind racing. Maya wrapped her arms around herself. "They knew we'd be there," she said softly. "They wanted us to find this." "I know," he replied. "It's a trap, but also a message." He opened the case slowly. Inside was a small drive and a handwritten note. The words were simple but chilling. "Truth always comes at a cost. Now you'll understand why." Beneath the note was a photo. Keanu froze when he saw it. It was him, taken years ago, standing beside a man in a suit, shaking hands at a charity gala. The man's face was familiar, smiling, confident. His name was Victor Hale, a former film producer, philanthropist, and old friend, someone Keanu had once trusted deeply. Maya looked at the photo. "Who is he?" Keanu's voice was heavy. "Someone I used to know. He funded a charity project years ago called Light of Tomorrow. It was supposed to help rebuild communities through tech grants. But after a few years, he vanished from the spotlight." She frowned. Do you think he's Eclipse? Keanu didn't answer. Instead, he connected the drive to his laptop. Encrypted files appeared, but one stood out. A video file labeled Eclipse Protocol. He pressed play. The screen flickered, revealing Victor Hale sitting in a dimly lit office. His voice was calm, almost familiar. If you're watching this, it means the old world finally broke. Project Genesis isn't about stealing money. It's about rebuilding the system. Without governments, without corporations, without lies. Kindness was the seed, but control is the bloom. And Keanu, I knew you'd come. The video froze on Victor's face, his eyes staring straight into the camera. Straight at him, Maya whispered. He's talking to you. Keanu leaned back, his mind spinning. He used my name, my tweet, to start something bigger. Maya frowned. So the crypto scam, it wasn't just theft. He shook his head slowly. No, it was recruitment. He used people's pain to build loyalty. He made them believe kindness could replace the system, but behind it, he was building an empire. They sat in silence for a long time, the firelight from a small candle flickering between them. Rain echoed outside like distant footsteps. Maya finally said, "Then you're the only one who can stop him." Keanu smiled faintly. Or the next one he tries to destroy. As dawn broke, they made their way toward a nearby town. Their clothes were soaked, their faces pale with fatigue, but determination burned quietly between them. They found an old motel, paid in cash, and settled in. While Maya rested, Keanu sat by the window, watching cars pass on the wet highway. He thought about Victor, about the man who once spoke of compassion and rebuilding the world. How did it twist into this? How did idealism turn into manipulation? His phone vibrated. It was a private number. He hesitated, then answered. "Hello?" a familiar voice replied, calm, deliberate. "You finally found it," Victor said. "You always had a good heart, Keanu, too good. That's why you don't understand what I'm doing." Keanu's jaw tightened. "You're hurting people. You turned their pain into profit." Victor sighed. "No, I turned chaos into order. People don't want truth. They want hope. I gave them that. You gave them the spark. Together, we changed everything." "You used me," Keanu said coldly. "I used your belief," Victor replied, "because the world listens to you. They see honesty in your eyes. They follow you without question. Do you realize the power you hold? We could build something new if you just stop fighting it." Keanu's silence was sharp. Finally, he said, "The moment kindness becomes control, it's no longer kindness." Victor laughed softly. "Still the saint. Still the fool." Then the line went dead. Keanu sat there for a long time, staring at the phone. The truth was clearer now. Project Genesis wasn't about saving the broken system. It was about replacing it with one ruled by fear, disguised as compassion. Maya woke and saw the look on his face. "What happened?" "We're going to end this," he said quietly. "But to do that, we'll need to expose everything. Every account, every transfer, every lie." She looked at him with worry. "If you go public, he'll come after you." He nodded. "He already has." For the next few hours, they worked tirelessly. Using Samir's old network access, they began decrypting the files inside the Project Genesis drive. Each file revealed more layers of the operation: fake charities, shell foundations, corporate backers, even political donations. It was all there. Then they found something that made both of them stop. A list of influencers, politicians, and financial donors who had unknowingly helped launder money through the fake charities. The names were shocking. Global figures, respected foundations, even humanitarian organizations. Exposing this wouldn't just end Victor's empire. It could shake entire governments, Maya whispered. "This could destroy everything." Keanu's voice was steady. "Maybe destruction is what truth looks like before healing begins." Just as he finished speaking, a soft knock came at the motel door. Both of them froze. Keanu motioned for Maya to hide behind the curtain, then slowly approached the door. "Who is it?" a voice replied, calm, familiar. "It's Samir." Keanu opened the door slightly. Samir stood there, rain dripping from his jacket. He looked tense, glancing down the hallway. "How did you find us?" Keanu asked. Your last connection pinged one of my old servers, Samir said quickly. They're tracking you. You have to leave now. Keanu grabbed the drive and shoved it into his pocket. Can you help us leak this data safely? Samir nodded. Maybe. But there's no time here. We'll have to move again. I know a safe house near Oakland. Maya stepped forward. Samir, are you sure we can trust you? He looked at her, his eyes flickering, just for a second, before he said, Of course. I'm the only one who can keep you alive. Keanu hesitated. Something about that moment felt wrong. Too rehearsed, too cold. But before he could speak, the sound of sirens filled the air outside. Samir's voice hardened. We have to go, now! They ran out into the rain, slipping into a waiting car. The sirens grew louder behind them. As they sped away, Maya glanced at the rearview mirror. 2 black SUVs were following. Keanu turned to Samir. Who did you tell we were here? Samir didn't answer. His hands tightened on the wheel. Maya's voice cracked. Samir, what did you do? His silence said everything. Keanu's eyes darkened. You're working for him, aren't you? Samir exhaled slowly. I didn't have a choice. They have my family. The road ahead curved dangerously through the hills. Rain poured harder, thunder rumbling in the distance. Keanu leaned forward, his voice calm but fierce. Then you still have one, right now. Help us end this or you'll lose more than them. Samir's grip on the wheel trembled. For a moment, he said nothing. Then he turned sharply off the main road, tires screeching through mud. There's one last server, he said, voice shaking, hidden in a data bunker under Victor's old property. If we can reach it, we can upload everything before he stops us. How long will it take? Keanu asked. Samir swallowed hard. 1 night. Maybe less. But once we start, there's no turning back. Keanu looked out at the storm through the windshield. Lightning split the sky, illuminating the dark hills ahead. Then that's how it ends, he said quietly. Tonight. As the car disappeared into the rain, none of them knew that by morning, not everyone would make it out alive. The light returns. The storm raged through the night, tearing at the trees as lightning flashed across the dark sky. The road to Victor Hale's old estate was barely visible, winding through cliffs and valleys like a scar in the earth. The rain hit the windshield in heavy sheets, and the wipers barely kept up. Keanu Reeves sat in the back seat, the flash drive in his hand. Maya sat beside him, silent, clutching her jacket close. Samir drove with both hands gripping the wheel, his eyes locked on the road. None of them spoke. The only sound was the rain and the low growl of the engine. After hours of silence, the lights of an old mansion appeared in the distance. It stood on a hill, half hidden by fog, abandoned, cold, and broken. Vines crept up the stone walls, and parts of the roof had collapsed. But deep beneath it lay the bunker where Victor's secret servers were still alive. Samir parked behind a cluster of trees and turned to them. Once we're in, the system will alert Victor. His people will come, Keanu nodded. Then we finish before they arrive. They grabbed flashlights and moved toward the mansion, their footsteps crunching over wet gravel. The heavy doors creaked open to reveal a grand hall. Chandeliers shattered on the floor, dust hanging in the air. A faint humming sound echoed from below, coming from a hidden passage at the back. Samir led them down a metal staircase that spiraled deep underground. The air grew colder, denser. When they reached the bottom, a steel vault door stood before them. Samir entered a code, and with a deep hiss, the door opened. Rows of servers lined the bunker walls, their blinking lights casting a ghostly blue glow. This was the core of Project Genesis. The hum of the machines felt alive, like a heartbeat. We have maybe 20 minutes before they trace us, Samir said. Plug in the drive. I'll start the upload. Keanu inserted the flash drive into the main terminal. The screen came alive, displaying thousands of encrypted files unraveling line by line. Maya watched as her husband's work finally came to light. Every lie, every false charity, every stolen hope. Samir typed quickly. Once this hits the public blockchain, everyone will see it. No one can hide it anymore. But then, a soft voice echoed from behind them. You really couldn't let it go, could you? They all turned. Victor Hale stood in the doorway, his black coat glistening with rain. His expression was calm, almost sad. Behind him, two armed men stepped forward. Keanu's eyes narrowed. "You built this on kindness, Victor. You turned compassion into control." Victor smiled faintly. "I built it on faith, Keanu. The world doesn't need saviors, and it needs shepherds. People who can guide them even through deception." Maya's voice trembled. "You killed my husband." Victor turned his gaze to her. "Your husband was brilliant." But he was naive. He thought truth could save the world. He didn't understand. Truth destroys before it rebuilds. Keanu stepped forward, anger flickering in his eyes. "You talk about rebuilding, but all you've done is break people who trusted you." Victor's calm faded for a moment. "Trust is a fragile thing. People trust you, Keanu. They always have. They see goodness, and that's what made you dangerous. You made them believe kindness was enough. I made them act," Samir interrupted, his hands trembling over the keyboard. "It's too late, Victor. The upload has started." Victor's smile returned. "Then stop it." Samir hesitated, sweat forming on his forehead. One of the guards raised his weapon. Keanu moved instantly, stepping in front of Samir. "Don't do this. It's over." Victor looked at him. The same way he once did years ago when they were partners in charity work, before all of this began. "You could have been part of this. I wanted you to be." Keanu shook his head. "If power means losing your soul, I want no part of it." The tension broke in a flash. The guard lunged forward, but Maya grabbed a metal pipe from the floor and swung it hard. Chaos erupted. Gunfire rang out, sparks flying as bullets hit the walls. Samir ducked behind a console, frantically typing to finish the upload. Victor shouted, "Cut the power!" But the words were drowned out by the roar of the machines. The entire bunker lit up with data flooding through the network. Keanu and Victor faced each other in the middle of the chaos. Two men bound by opposite beliefs. Rain dripped from the ceiling cracks above, mixing with the glow of electric light. "You can't stop it now," Keanu said quietly. "The world will see the truth." Victor's calm shattered. He reached for the nearby console and slammed a key, triggering an overload. Alarms blared and sparks burst from the servers. Samir shouted, "The system's overheating! If we don't shut it down, it'll blow!" Keanu turned to him. "Finish it!" Maya grabbed the flash drive from the console and tossed it toward the emergency uplink terminal. The lights flickered as the final data packet sent through. Outside, far away, millions of screens around the world began flashing alerts, data leaks, exposed transactions, hidden accounts, and messages from victims. The truth was out. Then the explosion came. The servers erupted in a burst of fire and smoke, throwing everyone to the ground. The bunker lights went out completely. Dust and heat filled the air. Keanu's ears rang as he tried to move. He saw Maya lying near the stairs, coughing but alive. Samir was unconscious beside the broken console. Victor lay against the wall, his coat torn, blood streaking his face. Keanu crawled toward him. Victor's eyes flickered open. He gave a faint, broken laugh. "You did it! You actually did it." "It's over," Keanu said softly. Victor looked at the smoke rising from the ruined servers. "Maybe, or maybe this is just the beginning. The world will hate you for this. They always turn on their heroes." Keanu shook his head. "I don't care about being a hero. I just want people to remember that kindness still matters." Victor's voice grew weaker. "And that's why you'll always lose. Because kindness doesn't protect you." Keanu looked at him with quiet sadness. "Maybe not, but it protects everyone else." Victor's eyes slowly closed. His final breath faded into the sound of falling rain. Keanu stood up, helping Maya to her feet. Samir groaned, slowly regaining consciousness. The three of them made their way up the staircase, the bunker collapsing behind them. When they stepped outside, dawn was breaking. Sunlight filtered through the clouds for the first time in days. They stood in silence, watching the world wake up again. By that afternoon, the story had spread across the globe. Every news network, every website, every social platform was filled with one headline: "Massive crypto fraud exposed through Keanu Reeves' viral kindness movement." Investigations began. Victims received justice. Governments launched reforms. For once, the world was united not by anger, but by empathy. Keanu refused interviews. He disappeared quietly, leaving the noise behind. Weeks later, a small message appeared on his verified social account. No hashtags, no promotions, just a few simple words. Kindness isn't about being safe. It's about being real. Thank you for believing in it. The post went viral again, but this time it didn't explode in chaos. It spread slowly, shared by people who remembered the moment one man's compassion changed everything. Somewhere by the ocean, Keanu stood watching the waves crash against the rocks. Maya was beside him, the wind in her hair, her eyes brighter than before. "Do you think it was worth it?" she asked softly. He smiled faintly. "It always is." The sky turned golden, the light warm and alive. He took a deep breath and whispered, "Money fades, fame fades, but kindness, it echoes forever." As the sun sank behind the horizon, the waves carried those words away, quiet, endless, and true.